Hello and welcome to You Talking to Me. This week, the topic of our debate is once more one of the greatest challenges the EU is facing since the beginning of the crisis, the Greek economic situation. First of all, I would like to introduce our guest. I'm here with Mr. Dimitrios Papadimoulis. He's a Greek member of the European Parliament for the United Left. Welcome. Thanks for being here. And I'm here also with Mr. Krisenis Karins. He's Latvian member for the European People's Party, also at the European Parliament. Yes. Thank you also and welcome.
Thank you.
Ministers of Economy of the European Union have just agreed in the Eurogroup meeting to unlock more than 10 billion euros as part of the loan of the third bailout program after the new cuts recently adopted by the Greek Parliament. However, the big expectation of this meeting was the debt relief. Finally, European Union leaders have given green light to the debt relief, but won't take any concrete measures before 2010, after the German elections. This is far less ambitious than what the International Monetary Fund had asked. So I would like to start with you. For many years, many voices have asked for this debt relief. Finally, European Union leaders have agreed to at least start talking about this sort of taboo topic. Are we now in a game changer?
Actually, I think it is. Of course, the situation in Greece has been difficult for many years. What I think is important to remember and to note is that Europe and the European Union as a whole wants to do what it can to help. Of course, we have common rules, and it cannot be that for one member state there's a complete exception and for another member state it's different rules. And this is what I think the difficulty is how can everyone work together, agree in which way to help Greece, which is also good for the Greek economy. And I think yesterday's decision is actually quite groundbreaking because it opens the way to, how should we say, to complete the program, to give Greece the funds that are necessary for them to change their economy around.
And about the debt relief, even if we don't have any concrete measures, I mean, is this a big change? Or 2018 is still too far and there's still the room for a step back?
No, I don't think there will be stepping back. I think there will be a question of what exactly constitutes debt relief, because there can be writing off of debt or there can be a change of maturity. So you simply pay later. There can be a change in interest payments and when and how interest payments are made. And I think that this is, in the end, what would happen is that of course, anyone who loans money, you want to make sure that the money can be paid back. And no one has an interest of unnecessarily burdening the Greek economy. On the other hand, no one has an interest in losing money already invested. So it's a very thorny, very tricky issue because the sums are actually quite large. And of course, the effect on the Greek economy is also real. But I think what has been found is a solution that in Latvian we have a saying where the wolf is fed and the sheep is alive, where money will be dispersed. A formula will be found to make it sustainable so that it can be paid back, but that will not seem unfair to others who have been part of the system. Mm-hmm.
Mr. Papadimoulis, your party, which is in the Greek government, is still imposing some austerity measures, so Greeks are still facing austerity measures. Were you disappointed with the result of this Eurogroup meeting? I mean, was your party expecting for more? 2018 seems still a bit late, a bit far away.
The decisions of the Eurogroup was a good day, not only for Greece and the Greek people, but also for Europe as a whole. I agree with the statement of President Tusk. President Tusk said this morning that yesterday the Eurogroup decided a path of stabilization and growth for Greece, and it was also a good signal for Europe and also for the global economy. And I have to say also that President Juncker, the President of the Commission, said 2 days ago, and that two politicians belong to the same political family with Mr. Karins, not to my political family, that the Greek people and Greece made a lot and suffered a lot. And now it's time also for the creditors to help the Greek people to turn to the growth and Greece to become a country which could fulfill its European obligation. yesterday, Paul Thompson, who is a tough guy representing the IMF, said that everyone in the Eurogroup yesterday agreed that the Greek debt, the Greek public debt, is not sustainable as it is, and the creditors, the European creditors and the IMF has to do also something about that, not only the Greek side, which does a lot. My party came in power after a very long period of bad governance from previous governmental parties, which created huge deficits and loans, and implemented a very tough austerity program, which created a recessional shock. Mm-hmm. Okay. But now, the decision of the Eurogroup yesterday, it's a framework for a concrete debt relief and does not postpone anything, as you said, for the period 2018 and after, as the statement of the Eurogroup says. There will be a set of short, medium, and long-term measures to ensure the sustainability of Greece's public debt, and some of that measures will be implemented between the conclusion of the first review and the end of the program. That means before the 2018, and that means that Mr. Schäuble and that school of postponing everything after 2018 made also some concessions, and this is a compromise.
Okay, debt relief is not the same as a debt haircut. So we are not talking about forgiving a part of the debt. We are about making it easier to Greece to pay back the money.
It's a good question.
But my question is, has Greece already given up to this a possible debt haircut?
The demand for a haircut is not accepted from our creditors. And we accepted to have a debt relief, which is a different way to reduce the burden to the shoulders of the Greek economy and the Greek people. Extending the maturity, stabilizing and creating lower rates, giving a larger grace period, and this is not good only for the growth of the Greek economy. It's also good for the creditors, because the only way to give back that loans is to have the growth of the Greek economy. And now we see a light in the end of the tunnel. After 6 years of tough and strong austerity and recession, the provisions for the coming year is that we will have a strong growth of our economy, more than 3% for 2017 and 2018.
I would like to include in this debate some of the questions of our Euranet members. So I would like to start first with a question coming from Greece, from Sky Radio. Please, let's listen to the question.
Yesterday, Eurozone leaders seem to have agreed on the way forward for the Greek economy and the Greek debt. However, what has kept the deal pending for a while is the dispute with the IMF regarding the sustainability of the Greek debt. This is still to be settled and may cost the Greek economy further insecurity and measures to be adopted in the near future. Where does the European Parliament stand on this, and how do MEPs intend to intervene in order to solve this everlasting dispute with the IMF?
So we're talking here about the difference between the IMF and the European leaders. European leaders say that the relief will come at the end of the program in 2018 if the conditions are made, if Greece does their homeworks. But the IMF says Greece won't meet the goals if there's not a debt relief. So where do you stand?
No, I don't think there's a juxtaposition, two different radical positions now between the European Union and the International Monetary Fund. It seems that everyone has come to a common conclusion that there will be debt relief. The question is exactly in what form. As I said before, it seems to be in some sort of debt extension, interest payments, etc. But what as a Latvian politician I can say is that when the crisis hit in 2008, 2009, different countries, different economies dealt with it differently for various reasons. On the Greek side, there seems to have been for various reasons, objectives that an unwillingness to accept harsh terms. In the Latvian economy, we decided very early on to accept the harsh terms. We had a downturn of 1/5, 20% in 1 year's time, 2009, 2010. It was leveling off, and since the end of 2010, we have been growing. And our economy is now back above where we were before crisis, somewhere around 3% a year. Not overheating, could be a little more, but considering everything in the world, it's actually quite good. And it led. Fast decisions led to fast stability. On the Greek side, the situation has been drawn out so long that it becomes ever more difficult to get a clear now it's over. But it seems that we're finally getting there. It's taking us maybe 6 years, but again, this whole time, both the IMF and the rest of the European Union have been wanting and trying to help. But of course, it's very difficult from the outside to understand, you can't, every government, every society has to be willing to deal with it. And it seems that it's now come to the point where both from the Greek side, there's a willingness to compromise enough, and also from the creditor side, there's a willingness to compromise enough to find a solution, because in the end, everyone wants a solution.
We're running out of time. Let's go with the last question. It's a question coming from our radio partner in Germany. It's Radio AMS, and the question is from Claudia Nopke. Let's listen to the question, please.
Here in Germany, it's hard to say what the real public opinion is about the Greek debts. It's not a publicly discussed topic anymore, even in the national press. It is a kind of, well, we have somehow to report about it, but it's not anymore so much a topic being discussed, for example, in pubs or at work. And it feels a little bit like we know we have to pay for it with our taxes. Just do it, and let's end this never-ending story. And politically, it's mostly an issue for Wolfgang Schäuble. If you ask experts, they are expecting already the debt relief for Greece. So in the end, nobody will be really satisfied, but saying, so what? It's another proof for the fact that the European Union is mainly expensive in various regards.
More than a question, it's a comment. So if you would like to reply back very quickly, please.
The European Union, you can say it's expensive, but for all of our economies, it's a tremendous advantage. So for any one country, your market is, for Germans, it's 80 million. For the Latvians, it's only 2 million. For the French, it's 60 for the Spanish. But together, we're a 500 million market. If we want to work together, and I think everyone has a great interest in working together, we need to also be able to support each other when problems occur, because we're all connected. Problems in one country can become problems in another country.
Claudia was mentioning that Germans are tired of listening about the topic. I guess Greeks are even more tired because they are suffering the consequences of austerity. Your group mentioned recently that there's a need of more reforms. Can Greece face more reforms, more austerity?
Let's not say more austerity, but what we have to understand in all of our countries is that the cost of government, the cost of what the government spends, cannot on a long-term basis be much more than you're able to collect in taxes. So you have to adjust your cost to your income. And the way to do that, we call them reforms, by maybe spending less money, but structuring in a more clever way. All countries have to do this on a continual basis, and no less do the Greeks. All countries, we have to learn to live more or less within our means, and then we won't have these crises. It's when we live beyond our means, when we spend money that we don't have, we end up with a crisis, because someone at some point has to pay. And the situation here is that the Greeks, you could say, have spent, for whatever reasons, beyond their means. Now everyone is paying, the Greeks are paying, but the rest of Europe is paying as well, because that's where the money is coming from. So we need stability and living within our means.
Okay, I would like you to reply back if you wish. And can we expect more reforms, more austerity in Greece?
The Greek government is implementing a very tough and demanding program, making a lot of reforms. I have a lot of doubts if in Germany or in France could implement such huge reforms in such a short period of time. And it's good that the Greek case is not in the topics, in the headlines of the German news. And I think that all the experts, all the markets, and the majority also of the German people, because I see also the polls in the German politics, understood that these are loans and not grants to the Greek people. And if we want that loans to be repaid, we have to decide in a more open-minded way, creating the terms for debt relief and helping the Greek economy after a tough recession of 28%, after an unemployment which is 3 times more than 6 years ago, to turn to the growth. And I think that the signal of the yesterday decision of the Eurogroup, it's a strong signal to the people, for Europe as a whole, to the Greek people, but also to the market and the investors, that Greece is a very good opportunity to invest and to help not only Greece, but also Europe to stabilize their economy and to increase our common future.
Okay, I'm afraid we have to leave it here for today, but we will continue about this topic. Is like the never-ending story. I hope one day we can report about the end of this crisis. Thanks so much both for being here, and thanks for watching. See you next week.